Welcome, everyone, to Beyond the Brandywine,
where we wander, wonder, and occasionally get lost in Middle-earth. I'm Angela.
And I'm Kelsey. Beyond the Brandywine is a cozy, curious, and occasionally chaotic journey across the lands of Middle-earth.
Join us as we wander through stories, laugh over the odd bits of lore, and follow tangents like hobbits chasing second breakfast. We're here to explore the places where the map fades and the questions get weird.
So for this week's episode, Angela, I need to ask you something that has been keeping me up at night, and it is very likely ridiculous. But you know how my brain works, and once a thought gets in it, it's stuck there. Here's the question. Are animals in the Shire Hobbit-sized, or are they normal-sized? Because the more I thought about it, the more it bothered me whether hobbits are running around with like adorable miniature versions of cows and sheep and all of that, or if being a livestock person or a cattle herd is like the most dangerous job in the Shire because you are inches away from a kick of death. So I've been thinking about it way too much, and I want to get your thoughts on it because for me at least, if they're not Hobbit-sized,
how terrifying.
How terrifying is that? Like, it would change every dynamic about how the Shire could potentially work.
I love everything about this question, and imagining the little tiny bunnies and mini cows that they might have, and I kind of hope that it's that version. Because 3 feet tall isn't very tall, so it's hard to imagine a hobbit leading a full-sized cow.
Yeah, like are we talking about hobbits keeping normal-sized chickens, or like have you seen geese and roosters, right? Like those things are terrifying.
Or a swan.
Or a swan. Like I'm afraid of a swan as a nearly 6 foot tall human. Right. A little 3.5 foot hobbit, like that's going to end you in a trip to like the Hobbiton ER potentially.
Were there any swans in their little ponds? I'm trying to remember now if in Hobbiton they showed any kind of.
Oh, like I don't know if there are any in the movie. I would have to go back to it. I know I was like the swan boats.
I can almost picture a swan there, and that would have been amazing if they'd had a hobbit being chased by a swan.
I mean, like, look, you know me. I'm going to read too much into the text. I think this is exactly the kind of practical world building that Tolkien leaves tantalizingly unanswered. But that means we get to dig into it and kind of pull some stuff together, and I think go on some very interesting hypothetical and very much not verified speculation in this case, right? Because it really makes me worry for the daily health and safety of the hobbits unless they've invented things to deal with this, which we will get to. But
all right, so we'll dive into a little bit more about the size. How big were they? Yeah,
this is a very serious investigation. We're going to take this, tonight at 9.
Dive in way
Beyond
too
the Brandywine. Dive in. We'll go out, wander off some tangents on this one, but I think we've got a couple things to pull from, right? We've got what does Tolkien say in the text and what can we pull from the text itself? And then obviously there's the way that the movies and are there clues left in that. And I think there's some sort of ancillary stuff in poems, and there's kind of little bits here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is I don't think Tolkien ever addressed this directly, so it's completely up to our wild imagination.
Not a lot to go on, but we're going to make the best of it.
Well, and I think you and I were talking right before this. What does this mean for cats and the daily danger that hobbits would be in?
When you first told me how Tolkien didn't like cats, and I was like, how could he? But when you've asked this question of the size of animals, and I try to picture a house cat next to a 3-foot-sized hobbit, and I realize that's huge.
It's like the size of a bobcat or something, right? That's not
bobcat-sized. They have claws. Not all cats are nice.
No,
I mean So, that's actually really terrifying. And I can totally see why he didn't put those in there.
Farmer Maggot has dogs for a reason. Well, if you're willing, let's go into this. Let's start with...
Let's dive in.
Yeah, let's see the Tolkien text, detective work, if you will. Like, let's start with what the professor has actually said about this, right? From the get-go, Tolkien himself is very adamant about he loves plants. He loves trees. It's notorious in his circle when he would go out for walks in like Oxford or whatever with his buddies. Sometimes he would just stop and look at a tree or a plant for 30 minutes and then kind of continue on.
Hey,
so
I understand.
I don't know anybody like that. Right. Like
he loves nature.
He loves nature and the natural world. And I think as much as the Shire reflects sort of that agricultural side of rural England where he wasn't overly invested in describing livestock and the animals in his text. So we have a lot more to go on if we're looking at like the type of trees Tolkien was interested in versus the breeds of cows that hobbits may or may not be dealing with in their daily life, right? I think, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say there's hints though. So
yeah, we have hints. Like, what do we know from the text? We know that hobbits live in an agricultural society. Cool.
Pigs and sheep are specifically called out.
Yes, and chickens.
Oh, and chickens.
I think and chickens. So we know that like those animals exist. We know that they have dairy products. So they've got cheese and milk and cream and butter. So this is on me. I think to my mind, I automatically thought that meant that they have cows.
Yeah, I did too.
Turns out you can have butter and all that stuff from sheep. Well, we know you can get milk from sheep and goat.
Which I don't know a lot about how to make butter, but I did Google it. And yeah.
You can make it butter from sheep's milk and goat milk.
So yeah.
So maybe. So like there is a logical assumption where we hear they have milk and cheese and dairy and all that. And we're like, oh, they have cows. Yes. But let's say, there's maybe a world in which the hobbits are making their dairy products from sheep and goats because they're a little bit easier to get to, if you will. Like,
I mean, if I was a hobbit, I think I'd rather deal with a sheep than a cow. I mean, I just saw a cow yesterday.
Yeah.
They're huge.
They're really big. And there are different breeds, right? Like, but your average like dairy cow can be like...
I think it was just an average dairy cow, though. I mean, it was at the zoo.
Yeah. Oh, the Smithsonian,
Yeah. And I'm trying to picture a hobbit next to that. I mean, I don't know.
Well, it begs the question, have they adapted? Let's go with the world in which they do have cows. And they're doing traditional dairy from like milking a cow.
Yeah.
I want to know, what are the logistics of that? Because like you said, your average cow is like, almost like 600, 800 pounds. It's pretty high up.
Like multiple hobbits.
Are they in a secure place? How do we make sure the cow doesn't...
Oh, they have a pen, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do they make sure they're not kicked? Like, how high up do they need to be to reach the udders? Like, are they good on a stool? Are they good on the ground? Like, because the person's like bending down to get to it potentially, right? But...
No, they're not that big. They would still probably have to sit down.
Yeah.
To like reach the udders.
Yeah.
But... yeah, just the size difference.
It can be done, right?
Yeah, I've never actually done that.
Yeah.
So I can't speak
You've never milked a cow?
No, I have not. I have seen videos and probably even somebody doing it in person, but I've never like...
But like, I also think cows can be bred for being chill. Yeah.
More docile.
Docility. Yeah, they're more docile. Docility? What's the word there? Okay, so you've got a bunch of great dairy cows that are super chill and know when to come in to be milked. Like, there's the issue of like leading the cow to... wherever it is going to be milked. Like a well-trained cow, I don't know. Maybe they'll like walk up, but if you're trying to get them from the field to the barn or wherever you're milking them, I don't think your average little hobbit is going to be like, come on, Bessie, like, please walk this way. That cow could drag the hobbit around very easily.
Both outing ourselves for our lack of knowledge on farming.
Yes.
But it's like, okay, I know sheep are led, by sheepdogs.
Yes.
Can cows be? Oh, wait. As I'm asking this, I remember from my childhood, 2 cows lost in a field, and they were using ATVs to herd the cows.
I was like, more often than not, I'm aware of humans herding cows and dogs herding sheep. But you're absolutely right. Like my depth of knowledge on agricultural practices is not...
Maybe they use dogs to...
dogs, especially the herding dogs, they're quite smart. But like, okay, so a hobbit uses a dog. Let's go to dogs. Like your average dog that's a sheepdog or something practical.
Yeah, still pretty big. Oh, so we're talking about hobbits.
Yeah.
And for the listener, if you're just watching the movies, the hobbits they're smaller than humans, but they're not visually as small as I feel like they are in the books.
They're not pint-sized, I think. I think, well, maybe when you occasionally get the shot of the body doubles they had in the films that actually look... that are the appropriate height.
So like the height of the hobbits in the book are 3 feet.
Yeah, three and a half.
The tallest was 4 feet.
Yeah, well, I think prior to Merry and Pippin, drinking the Ent draft in the Two Towers and gaining a few inches kind of rather suddenly.
Yeah,
hobbits very rarely even hit 4 feet. It sounds like because they can't even ride horses 90% of the time. The one exception is Mr. Peregrine Took's ancestor, Bull Took. I'm never going to... Bull Took. He was an absolute giant of a hobbit at 4 feet 5 inches and was the only known hobbit to be able to ride a horse. He was actually tall enough to ride a horse.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like pretty much physically impossible because like your legs won't even reach down to the stirrups and can't even, like, there's no way. So hobbits, if they do ride,
Yeah.
they ride ponies.
Yeah. So like from the top of the head, pretty much 3 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just, it's pretty short.
It's really small.
Yeah.
It's itty bitty small, which is like, I think if we're talking about animals that exist, right? We know dogs exist in this world.
Yeah.
And I kind of understand Frodo's abject fear at Farmer Maggot's 3 guard dogs now. Let's assume they're normal sized dogs, you know, mastiffs, some German shepherds, some sort of a good guard dog. That dog standing up on its, like, normally could be taller than the Hobbit, potentially.
I realized how much I was putting my own height into, like, Frodo's fear that he would have felt with those dogs. But from this conversation, I'm realizing that, he might have even been looking up at those dogs.
Yeah, it's like at your height, maybe taller, snarling at you.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions about how Farmer Maggot, like, trained them and maybe he grew them up, you know, had them since they were puppies. And obviously they're very chill, but it's like those people that have pet, like, lions and tigers. Even if it's quote unquote domesticated,
there's still a level of fear there.
There's a level of fear. There's a level of this thing could still eat me.
Right.
So with the dogs, I'd be like, yeah, Farmer Maggot controls them. But, like, what if the dogs get startled and bite? Like, a hobbit's losing an arm that day. That is not a minor injury.
Right.
So I have questions about that. But, like, back to the livestock thing, because I think if you look at how, like, the hobbits' way of life, they're very heavily dependent on, there's references of oxen pulling carts. There's I think a poem or something in The Hobbit where they reference, like, oxen. And it's like, okay, so they know of oxen potentially.
Yeah.
They might be using them to plow their fields. They got chickens, they got their sheep. We'll assume they have cows. When you're looking at your day-to-day life, have hobbits developed extra technology perhaps to help them manage all of these creatures? Do they have, like, special things?
What kind of technology? Like just harnesses and things like that?
Maybe harnesses, maybe safety features or things to help even, like, move and direct animals. Because I think of a sheep, right? It takes a little bit for a human to shear their wool. Them. How was a hobbit doing that? I feel like they could ride the sheep potentially.
Sheep wrestling.
Yeah, sheep wrestling.
Or the pig wrestling.
But pigs are also really scary.
Yeah.
Pigs eat anything. Like, if a hobbit falls into the wrong trough, like, I don't think we're going to hear from that hobbit ever again. The pigs are like, great.
Well, this kind of leads into the other thing we were talking about with, they would probably breed them to be, you know, more docile than your typical pig. So maybe, I don't know. I can't imagine a hobbit being attacked by a pig.
I hope their pigs this far into the third age have been bred to be fat and happy chill. And dumb. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some analysis out there that's like, well, it would make sense over however many hundreds of years that, I mean, I think humans would do this too. Like, we want the happiest, dumbest animals we can deal with because it's less hassle for us. So I don't see why the hobbits wouldn't be like, oh, this particular couple of cows are really chill. They don't even look at us funny. We're going to make sure we, like, breed more of those. But that begs the question, like, in the early days, what it was like. And we were talking about it earlier, but, like, your average female cow, okay, fine. Like, maybe they get upset.
Yeah,
when
they're
you're milking
docile
them.
enough.
What about the bulls?
Yeah.
Because you need both types of cow to make a cow.
True.
And I am not stepping into a field with an angry bull that wants to mate as a human in any circumstance.
Do the hobbits do a running of the bulls?
I hope not.
Maybe they just don't keep that many bulls around either, you know?
Right. Maybe they import cows. Like, so they're not doing the actual breeding.
Yeah. I was wondering that, though. Like, maybe they get their cows from Brie.
Yeah. I mean, we know they have trade with outside communities.
Yeah.
And if it's something they've, like, outsourced, they're like, this is too dangerous for us. But if you guys can just
I could see that.
Send us your most pliable dairy cows ready to go, that would be great.
I could see that.
Yeah.
We know that they trade out.
Yeah.
I'm sure they trade in.
Yeah. I wonder when they get more isolationist, though, towards the events of Lord of the Rings, where they're a little bit more closed off and there's less contact with the outside world.
Because that's the vibe I get, is that they were a little isolationist. But yeah, maybe it's a sign of the times. So
yeah. And kind of a blip as opposed to...
I think even then they were trading.
I mean, they can't have everything they could possibly need.
Right.
Sourced to the Shire only, made locally. Yeah, like, if they've bred them for being docile or being smaller, you could see over time a situation where they're able to deal with the animals in a much safer way. But like we were talking about, like what Tolkien actually writes, he doesn't say a whole lot. Like he describes Farmer Maggot's dogs as just like these ferocious,
Wolf-like?
huge dogs, wolf-like looking, which is really fun. And we know hobbits have like eggs and stuff, and so there's definitely chickens.
Yeah.
I don't know about geese. I don't know about ducks maybe potentially.
I'm sure.
Again, they're not huge. Like I feel like your average hobbit, it's not going to be easy, but if you need to catch and deal with a chicken,
yeah,
you can catch and deal with a chicken. And like
they might even be better at catching chickens than me. I have to bend down too far to catch a chicken, so I think that they would be able to just run, reach out their arms,
run full on at the chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like if I'm looking through animals I would be most afraid of as a hobbit, horses. Because they kick.
I'm scared of horses even.
I wouldn't want to go anywhere near a horse. I think bulls, if we assume they are breeding cows, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that.
Yeah.
Geese.
Swans.
Swans, man. Swans will mess you up. Like an angry swan, I've seen 2 adult human males running away from one swan. And I feel like it would be a very silly thing for a hobbit to go mess with a normal-sized swan.
A took would.
A took might. But, okay, so how do hobbits, say all the animals are normal size, and they've just bred them for, like, chill and the occasional slightly smaller. Like, because there are breeds of cows that are smaller and cuter, and there's breeds of ponies and horses. Like, I think of the Icelandic ponies that are smaller. Like, there are breeds in our real world that exist that are smaller. So I imagine the hobbits would do their best to have those. But let's say, they've done what they can. How do they control for keeping things that they don't want in the Shire out of the Shire? Like, you can't like keep a stray cat. Like, say they've never like they don't have miniature cats and they don't really want cats around. Like, okay, you've got guard dogs maybe, but
or what if there is like a really mean cow that's born or something?
Or how do you like rats?
Okay,
rats are really scary. Even to humans when they swarm.
Big rats.
A rat's going to be
New York City rat.
Yeah, like a rat is the size of a hobbit's head. Like, like how are we controlling for the really dangerous things that hobbits can't? Maybe that's the most dangerous job in the Shire is being a rat catcher and going out and getting rid of vermin.
That's why they need the cats.
That's why we need the cats. But do they have cats? Like, do they have barn cats?
That's just it. They're not mentioned at all. And part of me was just thinking that, like, if the animals were significantly different size than either our normal-sized animals or even other animals in Middle-earth, I think he would have mentioned something like that. So that's why I'm leaning that they're actually pretty normal-sized, whatever animals that they had.
Yeah.
They're not significantly different.
Yeah.
Maybe they are overall, like, they'll keep the smaller ones and definitely more docile. I can see them choosing that. But I don't think they have many animals.
I really want to have a world exist where it's a bunch of hobbits with teeny tiny rabbits and teeny tiny sheep and cute little...
That would be so adorable, and I want it to be true.
Make it so... Well, we also have evidence from Bree, right? Like, so hobbits coexist with humans in Bree, and it seems like everything in Bree goes along normally with normal-sized things. And yes, the hobbits have hobbit-sized houses or hobbit-sized accommodations at the Prancing Pony.
Right. They accommodate the hobbits when they can.
But they're not like changing their road sizes or livestock. And this might be a good point to transition into the visual representations, right? Because we have in the movies, like Bree is very much everything is human-sized and it's very like looming and overwhelming and kind of looks like it's all coming at the hobbits. Even the carrot and Peter Jackson's cameoed face looks huge compared to the hobbits. And in the Shire at the beginning...
Okay, might see where you're going with this, that like Bree to the hobbits is like everything is human-sized. And it's scary to them.
Yeah.
Where in Hobbiton, obviously everything is built to be their size. So it is going to be smaller.
Yeah.
So then how do you accommodate like a
regular-sized cow in a hobbit-sized cattle field, right? Like,
I see where
proportionally, and like I'm probably going way too far out on a limb here, but proportionally, like if you look at the little paddocks and gardens and everything that are hobbit-sized, the fences aren't tall enough to accommodate regular animals.
Yeah, they can just hop right over.
Yeah, a sheep's going to be like, cool, or a cow's just going to step over it. Oh, cows are dumb, so maybe not a cow, but like...
Okay, continue your thought on the movie.
Well, the movie just leaves more questions in my mind because I feel like we see at the beginning when Gandalf's coming into the Shire in the film and he's on his cart and he's singing, the hobbits seem small, But like there's that scene in the main square where the guy's trying to like pull the pig.
Yeah.
That's a normal sized pig.
Yeah.
And the guy's having trouble
And he's
with
having
it.
trouble. Yeah.
Which tells you like, okay, it's a normal sized animal, but hobbits aren't necessarily equipped to deal with the normal sized animal.
Right.
But the pigs and the chickens and the sheep, I feel like those are easier for the hobbits to like build fences for.
Somebody in the Shire was leading a cow.
Yes.
Like, I forget exactly which Shire scene, but yeah, they were leading a cow.
Yeah.
And it was going well, but
it was going well. But
again,
again,
right,
like,
that pig was not going well.
The pig was not going well. And I have questions because like, obviously I don't think the film crew is going out to seek unusually small sized animals for the film. They're using mostly regularly sized actors and there's like camera tricks and stuff, but they're not using all shorter actors for the scene in the Shire. So proportionally they look proportional to the animals.
Right.
And this is what I'm getting at, because the way he shows the visual contrast between the Shire and Bree, where like, yes, the Shire is like lovely and wonderful, but like the hobbits look in proportion to their animals.
Okay, I see.
And then by the time they get to Bree, they're just like, whoa, everything's super big here. It makes me wonder.
Okay.
And like this, again, reading way too far into this, but
that's what we do here.
The visual differentiation between the two makes me think that was Peter Jackson trying to convey that the animals are more hobbit-sized in the Shire.
Okay.
But does that make Bree more overwhelming just because it's human-sized buildings or because everything that...
My impression was that it was human-sized humans were really what was so overwhelming.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the animals or even, well, maybe the buildings. But I was also going to say that we're also assuming that the hobbits would do things efficiently. Maybe they would.
Do you think agriculture just takes a really long time in the Shire because they don't know how to wrangle a pig or a cow?
I think so, yeah. Especially based on that movie scene. I'm like, I think that that's their daily life, is that they just they can spend a whole day having an adventure of getting the cow into the stall.
So you're telling me this is why cheese prices are so expensive in the Shire, because it takes 5 times the normal amount of time to do all the steps required to make
that
the
was
cheese.
A day.
I mean, they live a very slow, bucolic life, so maybe for them there's no real rush, and as long as they get enough in the stores for winter, it just takes.
Plus, if it's
extra steps.
Plus, if it's a normal-sized cow making a normal-sized amount of milk,
that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's going to last a lot longer for them than it would for us.
Oh, that's a really good point. So, like, the proportions of stuff they're getting from the animals, like a regular sized egg is going to be a really big egg to a hobbit.
Yeah, they only need one rather than
you're good with one. Like 3 scrambled eggs is, well, they eat a lot though. So 2 things, right? Like, one, you're right. Like, we're going to spend all this effort and time. It's going to take us half a day to milk 1 cow, but the amount of dairy you're getting.
Then they eat 2 breakfasts. So.
But yeah, with like how many meals a day? 7 meals a day.
They're eating that many times. Yeah. Then I guess it evens out in the end.
But. Yeah, like does it really give them more produce and fodder and stuff, or is it just because hobbits eat so much food and so many meals that they're still at the end of the day consuming as much as a human?
Yeah, if not more.
Oh man. No, I want to know about this now because you're right. Okay, so it takes us 6 extra hobbits to get all the chickens in a coop and do the thing, or what might take 2 humans a day's work of shearing sheep wool ends up being like a weeks-long endeavor by the hobbit.
I'm definitely imagining just like hobbits running around constantly, like chasing chickens over here.
Cue the Benny Hill music of like, doo, 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 like running around. Well, and again, like Tolkien, luckily or not, doesn't really describe. Like I said, we know agriculture exists. We don't know what's efficient.
Leaving it up to our imagination.
Yeah, we don't know what's efficient. Like,
I don't see hobbits as being efficient creatures, and I think that that's part of their draw and benefit, is that they're more leisurely,
or maybe they just focus on if we're going to go text only, I don't think there's any evidence to the point of them truly being smaller than normal. Like, you can make whatever assumptions you will. He talks about animals existing, not being one for allegory. I feel like he was just be like, yeah, they have animals. Yeah. What of it? Like, I'm a linguist, figure it out, right? Like, this is not a detail I'm concerned with.
It's not an important detail.
But it would make sense that, like, maybe they're normal sized in an absolute sense of the word. But yeah, we'll try to go for some smaller ponies or slightly smaller cows, and we'll make it work in terms of everything else. But what?
I did read. Okay, so in the Shire, when they're leaving, all 4 hobbits are leaving, going on their adventure. there's a fox that sees them on their hike.
Oh, yeah, when they're leaving the Shire?
Yeah. And I guess the size isn't mentioned at all. So I just assumed it was a normal-sized fox, but that's another animal that they encounter.
Well, and again, like this, let's take a step outside of domesticated animals here and just look at regular fauna.
Wild animals.
If I'm a hobbit and I'm 3 feet tall, and I know there are regularly sized creatures in the woodlands.
No wonder they don't go anywhere.
Exactly. I, too, would not want to wander out of the Shire.
That makes a lot more sense.
They have their system. We've got, our little, sheriffs that don't really do a whole lot. We get the occasional wolves out of the Shire. Yeah. But all the hard work is left to the rangers.
Yeah.
Monitoring the borders. I would not want to wander out knowing that, a regularly sized fox or a wolf or even, God forbid, some other, like a snake.
Oh, jeez.
How scary would that be as a hobbit to come across just a regularly sized 3-foot black snake? It's as long as you are tall.
Yeah.
That really changes the odds.
That would be terrifying out in the world.
A big bird of prey.
Yeah.
How many hobbit children almost get snatched by vultures and hawks that we're not talking about? This really is, I'm worried for the poor hobbit. They can control what they can control to the extent that they can, but do we have extra
never
people
really thought about that,
keeping an eye on hobbit children so they don't accidentally get snatched by an owl?
Well, I think that even ties into Rings of Power a little bit because I know a lot of people don't like the Poppy. Wait, what was her name? Was it Poppy?
Poppy's one of them.
Yeah.
The friend? Yeah.
It's the main girl's.
I'm forgetting right now. The Harfoots, right?
Yeah, the Harfoots.
Nori, Eleanor.
Nori.
So Nori and Poppy are the two. All right. So
so this reminds me of the Rings of Power and the Harfoots, Poppy and what was it, Nori?
Nori, yeah. Is it a scene in the show where they're avoiding?
No, a lot of their whole existence is it's kind of based on fear and not being seen and not going off the trail, not leaving the group. To tie into in Hobbiton.
Yeah.
Do they have the
child watching safety net? Nobody goes off trail, nobody walks alone.
Yeah, exactly.
But also just stay in Hobbiton, please, because we can't control for, owls or large birds of prey on the edges of the Shire.
I think it makes sense if you're tying in both the Rings of Power into Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, or often maybe that's why the hobbits like living in these little group settings where everybody can kind of keep an eye on everybody else and you're not you're in your they have houses too, so they're not all hobbit holes, but living close to civilization and a bunch of other people. So when you get to the edges of the Shire or Buckland and the Brandybucks and stuff, maybe one of the reasons they think they're so crazy is they're you guys live close to so much wildlife. You're really living on the edge there.
Well, I guess that's also why their whole personalities are a little bit more tolerant of adventure.
Yeah. Or maybe there are secret hobbit techniques for dealing with all these creatures that we don't know about. But to your point with the Harfoots and the Rings of Power storyline, it really does seem like an adaptation that they are so good at not being seen and they walk so silently through the forest because it's described many times in Lord of the Rings where the hobbits can walk through without even crackling a leaf or a twig. So nobody knows what's there so they don't get eaten. I wonder if that really is
think so, yeah.
And they are good fighters and they're amazing with their stones and their slings and they're feisty when they need to be and they fought a battle and they'd
rather not fight. They're just trying
they'd rather not fight. But Mary talks about going into the old forest. I'm sir, did you run into any creatures while you're in there? Is that why they think you guys are a little...
Well, if he's being quiet enough.
Yeah, maybe
this does kind of round out a lot of things for me with the size of the hobbits and a lot of their adaptations about avoiding all these huge animals,
all these big things. Yeah, I can't even imagine if you're a really crazy hobbit going on an adventure. Or can you imagine how Bilbo feels the first time he sees Bjorn in his bear form?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure he's well educated. He's heard about bears, but proportionally being next to a bear.
Yeah.
Maybe that's also why the spiders are so terrifying in Mirkwood.
Well, absolutely.
I'm terrified of a big spider. What's a little freaking hobbit going to do?
Yeah.
I have so many. I love this. This is really great. This is illuminating hobbit nature in a way that I did not expect.
I got to bring up one more animal that I came across in my research about this.
Yeah.
It brings back Tom Bombadil.
Oh, Tommy Bombs. We're bringing back
Tommy
our favorite.
Bombs.
What about Mr. Tommy Bombs?
So he gets captured by badgers.
He what?
He takes a nap in a little hole. And it happens to be a badger home.
Oh, Tommy Bombs. Why would you do that?
And they drag him in by his coat.
They drag Tom Bombadil by his coat?
So these...
Wait, this isn't from Lord of the Rings, is it?
Oh, no. Yeah, so this is from The Adventures of Tom Bombadil.
Oh,
which is
nice.
I haven't actually read it fully, but I think it's a collection of poems.
Yeah, it's like a collection of poems and short stories just on the epic Tom Bombadil.
Which I've got to read these now. But I was reading about one of the stories, how he gets captured by badgers.
I had forgotten about this. Oh, wait, how big are these badgers?
Well...
Is it like a lot of badgers?
It's a family of badgers.
Okay.
So, there's the main dad badger and then his family. And so they drag him in to their home.
Mean.
Yeah. And so Tom does his singing thing. I think the badger sings first. I don't remember the words.
So they get into like a rap battle and they sing off.
Yeah. Basically. But so Tom, he's like 4 foot tall.
At least, right?
I think I was reading
the height on him.
I was reading, I think he's 4 feet tall.
I'm going to look this up while you tell me the rest of this because
But I was wondering, how big are badgers in reality? So these badgers, they can talk. What I was reading is that, they're said to be of badgerish nature and appearance with a slight hobbitness about them. Now,
are they badger-hobbit hybrids? I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, so they're badger folk.
Okay.
They dwell in secret holes or burrows.
The long-lost cousins of the brandy bugs.
Yeah. They're sentient and capable of speech.
Terrifying.
Let's see, anything else about them? Oh, they're said to have a snowy forehead and dark blinking eyes.
Are they proto-hobbits? Did hobbits come from badgers? Is that where they get their hole dwelling from?
Well, there was like some artwork where they looked like badgers.
Okay.
But I have no idea what badgerish nature and slight hobbitness means at all.
I don't know if Tolkien knew what that was when he wrote it. I need to know.
So I don't know if these badgers, are they normal sized or are they a little bigger? But yeah, so these don't sound like your typical wild badger. Yeah, I wanted to bring it up as like another animal.
Yeah.
And they're big enough to drag Tom Bombadil.
So while you were relaying that lovely story, I did double check and it said Tom is taller than a hobbit or a dwarf, but not necessarily as tall as a man and an elf. So a lot of sources put him around like maybe 5 feet.
Okay.
Still though, that's an adult human. That's not...
So maybe the badger folk are bigger than badgers. Badgers are pretty tough, though.
I'm stuck on the description of the hobbitish and badgerish. Like,
yeah,
I have a lot of questions about what's been going on in the old forest.
Badgerish nature and appearance.
So they look like
slight
badgers.
Hobbitness about them.
Just ornery. Like they could be magic because they're in the old forest. Because we know that the old forest is special. Do the hobbits on the eastern borders of the Shire know about these badger people? That's what are there rumors in the Brandybuck circles
That's a great question that we may have to dig deeper because I know this poem, exists where Tom Bombadil has an adventure.
Right? Yeah.
But do these badgers, do they exist in the broader Tolkien realm?
I don't know.
No.
Maybe this is how the hobbit mothers in Buckland keep their kids from wandering into the old forest. Like, it's bad enough, like, we'll scare you with the trees and everything, but, like, you could get dragged into a hole like old Tommy Bombs and become one with the badger folk and we'll never see you.
Well, that's what I want to dig further into is, I think, like, are these badger folk just lightly mentioned in any other poem that you just read right away?
I like, honestly, I have read The Adventures of Tom Bombadil and I had completely forgotten about the badger folk. And now... On next episode, we explore the mystery of the badger folk. Like, I really want to know.
I'm thinking we need a whole nother episode on Tom Bombadil.
But it gets into like the economics of size, not the like the details of size in this universe, right? Because obviously everything being in Hobbit-sized, it's cute, it's cozy, it makes you feel safer. Like, I'm not scared of.
Extra big.
Yeah,
there's giant eagles, giant bees. Giant badgers. And I'm talking about the great eagles.
You know what's funny? Yeah, you talk about the bees stuff. Like the bees, Bjorn's bees are like, they are scary, big, even if they're larger than normal bees. Let's say they're like 6-inch bees. Mm-hmm. If you're a hobbit, again, it's the size of your head. It's the width of your head. That's really big.
Yeah.
But the giant eagles, you're talking about like how they're shown in the films and the hobbits are probably bigger than they are in real life. The scene in Return of the King where the eagles come down and swoop and like gently pick up Frodo and Sam into their claws.
Is that not?
I think they're too big for the eagle's claws because you see them like sticking out on either end by a decent amount. And yes, it's a movie and they probably need to visually represent that the Hobbit is there. Because if he's so tiny that he's in the claws, you can't see him. They can't show what they're flying with.
Well, how big are the eagles in Tolkien's universe? Really?
That's a good question, actually. I don't know proportionally what we're dealing with here. They're big. Well, they're man-weighs eagles,
but they
right?
also pick up the dwarves on the Hobbit.
And Gandalf.
Yeah, and Gandalf. So, like, they're big eagles.
And they're big enough to guard the gates of Gondolin, as I told you in our last episode, right? Like, this whole secret entrance to a city is guarded by eagles. So they're big enough to scare off things and do some damage.
But I guess my point is that there's plenty of options for larger than usual animals.
So why isn't he referencing smaller than usual?
He does not reference smaller than usual animals.
That's a choice. Well, maybe that's another textual clue, right? He went out of his way to have like giant bees or giant this, and he doesn't go the other direction.
So hobbits just have to make do with regular
Hobbits
size.
really are made of sturdy stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like they Gandalf respects them because people don't realize these guys are dealing on the daily with animals that are just not made for them.
Aww.
Fighting
Makes me feel for the hobbits.
They chose the lives. The Hobbit life didn't choose them. They chose this life.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because it does kind of affect your perception of hobbits being sturdy, right? If they are dealing with human-sized cows and human-sized ponies and a flock of angry chickens that haven't been fed and start pecking your hand, like that hurts as a human. Is that going to do you're going to be in the hospital for a week as a hobbit if you get attacked by your chickens that day? Or what if you accidentally get knocked over by, what if you have a really stubborn sheep that sits on your foot and doesn't get up or something like that? Or a pig where you're like, ow.
I think you just deal with your broken toe and you're off duty for a while.
Is there a secret manual somewhere of the Hobbit's guide to safety and animal husbandry that's never been unearthed but exists in a tome somewhere where, again, Bilbo, I think it's a perspective thing too. Bilbo and Frodo are gentleman hobbits, right? They're basically landed gentry doing okay. Pippin and Merry are practically nobility by Hobbit standards. They're not doing these things, so they're not necessarily going to know the ins and outs. Sam maybe. Sam maybe.
I mean, he's a gardener by trade, but we don't get a whole lot of exposure to some of the farming hobbits.
I know it isn't animals. Going back to the way they showed the Harfoots in Rings of Power, the food is normal sized, which to your point of proportions earlier makes me think that the animals producing things may be normal sized too. A bit of a leap, but slight tangent. But salmon gardening. Is gardening that much harder and takes that much longer because all the produce is proportional to humans?
Even the produce. Huh?
So okay, tell me a time that it was really hard for you to lift a very heavy watermelon.
Right.
And then tell me how a hobbit's doing that.
Wait, there's a hobbit carrying a pumpkin, isn't there?
Yes.
And he's struggling.
Yes. So again, does gardening take extra long? Is Sam superpowered because he's dealing with...
Are you sure you want to live in the Shire?
Actually, I might be reconsidering my answer from the last episode. This sounds like a lot of work. I don't know. I don't want to be a gardener in the Shire, and I don't want to be an animal livestock specialist in the Shire. We'll see where we go from there. Yeah, cabbages. It's going to take them 3 times as long to move those unless they've adapted some sort of technology.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other big, heavy, melons or squash. They've got plows. They've got ways to farm. But it's the logistics of getting it out of the ground and moving it.
Right.
When it's 3 times as big compared to you as it is a human,
Right.
I don't think they're going to, hobbits like their food, so I don't think they're selectively breeding smaller produce.
Well, they might, though.
Why? They want to eat it. They want to
That's true. They want to eat.
Maybe it's harder to handle.
Actually, I think I changed my answer. They don't try to breed it to be smaller because you're right. They're look at this giant melon that I need 3 people to move.
Yeah.
They're
really excited about the amount of food they're going to eat.
Yeah. They would have giant pumpkin contests for sure.
They do. It's probably epic. This is bigger than the Hobbit or bigger than this whole family. And this is the last proportion thing I will talk about on the food side, because I know this episode's actually supposed to be about animals, is storage and space.
Okay.
So we talked a little bit about the animals, right? But they have to build, if the animals are normal size, they have to go out of their way to build larger pens and larger fences.
Okay.
And you have to build a barn that is big enough for cows, which is huge compared to a hobbit, right? So you almost have some...
And like you said, fences. Yeah, that's going to be...
Yeah, a hobbit-sized fence isn't going to keep a cow in the yard. You need to build a human-sized fence, which is huge for a hobbit. So the carpenters are working overtime to build the enclosures for the animals. Like, and also, how scary is it to repair the roof on a barn that's big enough for real-sized livestock? If you're a hobbit, like, I need like a health and safety form to, like, if I fall off this and break my neck, which I very likely would.
I'm just laughing because I can imagine Tolkien sitting right here and being like, you guys,
stop it.
You're reading way too
Why
far.
would you even care about it? Like, they went on an adventure. It's a fantasy world. Enjoy the languages I invented. Like, this is not...
That's probably why they live in holes, so they don't have to climb on the roof.
Yeah.
And deal with
the roof is just
shingles.
A hillside. Well, some of them do live in houses, but
Yeah.
they're often... I think they're almost exclusively described as single story. Like, they have in Mickle Delving in the capital and in Buckland, like, they have houses. They're just, nice one-story, cozy hobbit houses, and not like 3-story hobbit McMansions. But yeah, like, the proportions thing is really breaking my brain because, all right, like, let's go with they've found very nice, docile, normal-ish sized regular livestock. You're still building, like, okay, chicken coop, that's doable for a hobbit.
Mm-hmm.
If you walk inside,
it's the fences for me.
It's the fences and, like, the barns for the, like, if they have cattle or if they're building stuff for sheep. Like, I could see you could have a lower ceiling for sheep and goats and that kind of stuff. But let's go with they have cows.
Yeah.
That's not a short, maybe it's about the same as a 1-story house would be. I don't know. But
Oh, man.
How are they moving hay? Here's the thing, too. Like, do they have regularly sized hay bales, or do they have, like, smaller hay bales that's easier for the hobbits to transport?
More of them. More of
small
them.
Yeah. That they just kind of pile up for the cows or whatever. I mean, I will say, I'll be honest, this has left me with more questions than answers when it comes to how any of this works. And I don't know what I was expecting.
I think
out of this discussion,
there is not a lot to go off of.
No.
And so when we just start extrapolating the little we have, and it's like, there's more questions.
But also, like, I think I was trying to remember when it comes to, like, visual clues about the food, Bilbo's pantry from The Hobbit, where he's seen to go get stuff when the dwarves invade him so very rudely when he's trying to have a nice quiet evening. The food seems like the wheel of cheese seems big compared to a hobbit.
That's
the thing I was thinking about.
I was going to bring up that wheel of cheese because that wheel of cheese is huge.
Yeah. And, like, again, is it just because they're dealing with, do they not have, like, Hobbit-sized cheese molds?
I mean, that's a good point.
Why can't they make it
making
smaller?
Everything human-sized?
Maybe they really like giant cheese. I mean, I'm a huge fan of cheese, so I would love to have a giant wheel of cheese in front of me at any point in time. But yes, like, you don't see the adaptations where you would expect them to be. Like, they could have a bunch of wheels that are easy for hobbits to pick up and lift.
So hobbits, they live in the Shire.
Yeah.
But in their history, at least, have been around other parts of Middle-earth.
They've migrated from other parts.
So they've got exposure to human-sized things.
Yeah.
And with their love of food, thinking that they like the human-sized portions.
Sure.
Portions.
I mean, what hobbit wouldn't?
Right.
For me, it's
they're
just
like, look at this cheese.
Yeah. How many hobbits are blowing out their backs trying to lift a giant wheel of cheese or a giant carafe of wine or a barrel of wine or something? Yeah, it's delicious. Let's eat all the things. But you sure we can't make them smaller size wheels?
Okay.
Yeah.
They do have, they don't have pints.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They don't have pints. So they do have some things that are hobbits.
They have some portion control, but only with certain types of drinking.
Apparently only with drinking. That's good for them.
Yeah. So, so the cutlery is smaller. The cups are smaller.
Mm-hmm.
The houses are proportionally smaller. The chairs are smaller.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to remember now. Was it in The Hobbit when Gandalf was handed a glass of wine?
Yeah.
And it's basically like a little shot glass.
Yeah, it looks like a little sherry glass.
Yeah, it's like just
I think it's in The Hobbit. Yeah, he has a tiny little, it's like he drowns it. It's like a thimble, right?
Okay, I need another.
Yes. So, they've adapted those things, but they still have a giant wheel of cheese. I have questions.
They're not consistent.
They're not. And again, this is various interpretations of filmmakers and what they choose to put on screen. But I
get the feeling that some of this is comedic value. Like, they're playing off of the love of eating. So it's a huge wheel of cheese. But they're also hobbits. And so, their glasses are going to be tiny. So when Gandalf is trying to drink a glass of wine, it's super tiny. So they're playing off of that a little.
So I have one more animal question for you then, proportions, now that we're talking about stuff in the pantry. How do butchers deal with normal-sized animals? Because hobbits have sausage, they've got ham, they've got bacon.
Mm-hmm.
If that guy's having
meat grinders of some sort, or
but if random Hobbit Extra A in the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring can't even wrangle his pig to walk with him.
Right. How are you going to butcher that?
How are you going to I don't want to be graphic and I don't want to go too far down this road, but I was just if you're dealing with giant animals. Like, are you eating cows? That's like a 5 Hobbit operation at least.
Well,
or do they outsource that? Meat's not going to be fresh if they're shipping it in from Brie or whatever.
I'm trying to remember any mention of eating beef in Lord of the Rings.
Beef, I don't know.
Bacon.
Yeah, there's a lot of ham products.
Yeah, but I'd
find
apparently they don't eat the cows. So maybe if they have cows, they don't butcher them.
Maybe. Or we just don't have the evidence.
Or
Tolkien's like, why are you guys going this far deep into the food habits of the hobbits? That's hard.
That's what you took out of this?
That's your takeaway? Well, yeah. So we know they have pork products, but even like a regularly sized pig is not going to be a one hobbit operation.
No. Like I said, I think it's a multiple hobbit wrangling.
Because I'm thinking of like
a full day.
American like cold storage where they have like the ham hocks hanging and drying out to like cure the meat or whatever. How does that work? How does that work for a hobbit? That's not going to be... It's doable. Like, it's not impossible. This is something they love food. They're going to find a way.
Yeah.
But, like, a ham hock falling on a hobbit feels like a workplace safety incident that nobody wants to do.
OSHA.
It's an OSHA violation. Sorry, that was my thought on food, because I was like, wait a second. We talked about, like, the eggs and the dairy and the cheese, but we know they're eating meat.
Yeah.
How are they like getting and curing said meats in a safe way with like...
That's the key. Not in a safe way.
Not in a safe way. Or like in a very slow, methodical, just giant pieces of bacon.
I still can't picture it as methodical either. I feel like it's chaos.
They just kind of do it. They figure it out.
They figure it out.
They want the food. They'll get there.
Yeah. But I think that could also just be based on the movie representation of them as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the only real visual representation we have. Like, we can invent... Like, I want to go back to the text and see if I can pick apart any other little bits. But, like, they like food. They have food. There's the food that Bilbo brings out in the beginning of The Hobbit. Like, I don't think proportions are discussed there. If you look at Peter Jackson's interpretation, they're rolling what look like mostly regularly sized barrels of stuff. The only smaller barrel...
like, they're rolling them. They're not carrying them.
Yeah. So, like, there's ways. But, like, what if it, like... gets out of control and rolls down a hill and takes out 6 hobbits? Like, that's a really dangerous...
I think that could happen.
The most dangerous job is the guy that ships the barrels of ale to the Green Dragon. It's been this many days since we've had a barrel accidentally crush a hobbit.
How many days since the last barrel incident?
Right?
0.
So 0. I don't know. Yeah, the only small barrels we see are in the movies in the Two Towers when Merry and Pippin find the barrels of pipeweed.
Yeah, and they're small barrels.
Those are smaller barrels. So we know hobbits make smaller barrels.
That's true.
I have so many questions, Angela, and I want to know... I want to know what people think about this, because it is a silly topic. This is not a very serious investigation, as I led off with. We have very little clues to go on.
We'd love to hear anybody else's thoughts.
Right, like, suspend your disbelief. Give us your craziest theories. Tell us if you even care about it. Tell us, how you think hobbits have safety practices to make sure they don't have OSHA violations with people being crushed by barrels of...
farming knowledge. Tell us how many of this could be possible.
How likely is it? And, like, little things like animal control, keeping the wildlife out of the Shire so they're not, like...
The foxes jumping over.
Yeah. It's one thing for a human to get a fox out of a chicken coop. How is a hobbit doing that safely?
Yeah.
Do they have hobbit vets?
Yeah.
And how are they
about the most dangerous job in the Shire.
Right?
Hobbit vet.
Yeah, my sheep's sick. Well,
they might be good at roping. They throw rocks very accurately. So maybe they're good with lassoing.
They're good with rope skills. I mean, Sam talks about how good he is at tying knots.
That's true.
So maybe they figured out, elaborate ways of, like...
They don't show that, but I can imagine that.
Well, and a rope will only get you so far, though, right? Like, again, you still have to get the animal to move, and if it weighs 5 times as much as you...
I'm picturing, like, 3 hobbits involved.
Yeah.
From different angles.
Yeah. Like, we talking, like, Macy's Day balloon float with, like, a bunch of hobbits and rope?
Exactly. Exactly like
what happens when the animal gets loose and the hobbits get dragged by the ropes?
It gets spooked and they're all... That's just part of life, I think.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, there's pet ownership, right? Like, we have very, very few textual examples of any hobbits having any domestic pets.
Besides those dogs.
Besides Farmer Maggot's guard dogs. And they're guard dogs, right? They aren't, like...
Right.
Hang out. I mean, like, maybe he's super sweet on his days off and they sit beside the table and beg for scraps, but...
Yeah, I guess we don't really hear about smaller dog breeds.
No. Or tiny cats or tiny dogs or just like pet rabbit. Again, a pet rabbit to a human is great. A pet rabbit to a hobbit is slightly more
Well, I guess it might
Dangerous.
depend on the type of
Yeah,
rabbit.
it's a cute little.
But I've seen some big rabbits. So
There's
yeah,
some
those
very
would
big
be
rabbits.
too big.
Well, all right, Angela. This has been such a rambling tangent, but I appreciate you coming on this journey with me.
Of course.
Everything we've talked about, what is your final verdict on where we land with our animals in the Shire Hobbit-sized?
Yeah, as much as I would love to imagine and see like miniature versions of everything, I gotta go with their normal sized animals. Final answer.
Final answer. I think I'm with you. I think they may have made some adaptations in terms of dealing with them, or maybe the occasional breed that's like slightly smaller or more docile. But generally speaking, I think it's a lot of effort for the hobbits to undertake a multi-generational breeding plan just to have slightly smaller cows.
Right.
Like just deal with
just for their own use.
Or sheep. Like just deal with it. They're hobbits. They'll find a way. I have questions about animal safety in terms of not domesticated animals, like the foxes and these badger people, or like owls. Owls are apex predators, and I can see a giant barn owl coming in and picking up a hobbit real quick. So
that's true.
I want to know more about how they
wander alone.
No, nobody goes off path. Nobody walks alone. Did our discussion change how you picture the Shire?
Yeah, it did in a way. I mean, I had to bring myself back to the book-sized Hobbit, and not so much the movie. Which I mean, they did a great job with making the hobbits appear smaller. But I had to go back to book size and realize they are pretty dang small. And they would have a hard time, I think, living day-to-day life in a big world.
Yeah. I think it definitely makes me, I mean, I already think of the Shire as like a magical, whimsical place, but there's a part of me that still wants to imagine like either a hilarious scene with like a hobbit being unable to like get the cow. It takes him like 3 days to get the cow.
It does sound like fun though. That's their adventure in life.
Yeah.
It's not a boring day in the Shire when you're wrangling pig for dinner.
No, there's a lot of skill required and safety considerations that I don't think I would have considered before. And I think honestly, hobbits it makes them kind of more impressive, as we talked about their ability to adapt to these things and deal with regularly sized animals and get on with their life and be safe.
It's not as boring as it seems.
No, they're hardy. They can deal with if they've dealt with any goose or swan, I bow to them. I bow to them for their prowess in dealing with that.
We're going to have to tell Peter Jackson that he needs to put more hobbits interacting with animals.
Yeah. Well, and I think Tolkien would trust us to just kind of come up with whatever interpretation we want. Like, again, there's maybe an envisioning of him sitting here rolling his eyes at us being like, why would you even care? But I would also say there's a side of him that appreciates rigorous academic thought and debate. Yeah. And as long as it's sourced and comes from what we can, gather from the text or the film, it's not out of nowhere. Like, yes, the thought's a little weird, but I feel like he would appreciate us at least having a debate about this topic.
Yeah.
I think the lesson from this is be thankful that we are not 3-foot-tall hobbits in a human-sized world. Like, yes, there's things about the Shire that are absolutely amazing and cozy, but also the implications of dealing with regularly sized animals as a hobbit, maybe some danger there.
Yeah. Note to self, we've got to get those hobbits some smaller animals. We've got to get a little breeding program going.
We're going to ask the eagles and send a missive across the water to Valinor and be like, you guys have so much power. You can't help us on this
Let's make these hobbits' lives a little easier.
They're pretty easy, though.
And get some really cute pets and animals.
We're in it for the cuteness and not necessarily the logistical implications and ease of burden on the hobbits doing that every day.
For the cuteness.
For the cuteness. Oh, man. Well, I think that brings us to our call to adventure. So if you enjoyed wandering with us today, please subscribe to Beyond the Brandywine on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can also find us on YouTube at Beyond the Brandywine. We'll be putting up visual tangents to accompany some of the podcasts, as well as recordings of the podcasts themselves.
For even more Middle-earth musings, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Beyond the Brandywine.
Plus, find all of our links and more at beyondthebrandywine.com.
We would love to hear your favorite crazy thoughts, fan theories, headcanon on how you think animal things work in the Shire. Give me your craziest theories. Reach out to us on socials or email at us at hello@beyondthebrandywine.com.
What was that?
hello@beyondthebrandywine.com.
Thank you, everyone, for wandering and wondering with us today about huge cows and tiny hobbits.
Until next time, don't be afraid to wander beyond the Brandywine. Let's do the thing.
Are we ready?
Let's do the thing. Let's not have to deal with cows as a hobbit because we're gonna die. Do. Do it.
But I don't necessarily have anything to say.
This is a podcast. How can you have nothing to say? Just think about these poor hobbits who are risking their lives every day to wrangle sheep and cattle that are giant compared to them. They can't do it.
Know.
Is that what Brandabuff Took said when he couldn't ride a horse? No, he got on that horse and said, I can ride this horse.